From Hawthorne Lanes in Vernon Hills, Illinois, just minutes from Chicago, ESPN's live coverage of the PBA continues with a Miller High Life Open. 5 of the world's best bowlers go for the title. Now let's meet our 5 finalists. From Escondido, California, in his 3rd career telecast, looking for his 1st career PBA title, Mike DeVaney. He has 10 career titles, almost $1 million in earnings. The 1989 PBA Rookie of the Year from Tarpon Springs, Florida, Steve Hoskins. This PBA Hall of Famer has 34 career wins, good for 2nd all-time. A 5-time PBA Player of the Year from Ocala, Florida, Walter Ray Williams Jr. From Claremont, Florida, with 9 career wins, including 2 Tournament of Champions titles, the 1992 Rookie of the Year, Jason Couch. He has 9 career wins and is appearing in his 2nd consecutive telecast from Baltimore, Maryland. Let's meet Danny Wiseman. Those are the 5 finalists for the 2002 Miller High Life Open here in the championship round. Here is the Miller High Life Open matchup. Jason Couch battles Walter Ray Williams in the semifinal. After Steve Hoskins and Mike DeVaney meet in the wild card match, the winner takes on Danny Wiseman, like Jason Couch, looking for double digits in career wins today. We are now ready for the wild card match. Steve Ryan alongside Randy Peterson, our entire ESPN PBA crew. Live coverage from outside Chicago. DeVaney has never won a career championship. Jason Couch, one of the bowlers today, trying to get himself back in the winner's circle for the first time in a while. Same goes for Steve Hoskins. Almost 2 years since he's won a career title. So a common theme among several of the bowlers today. DeVaney starts us. In the pocket.
Nice start. You talked to a lot more where that came from. Oh, excuse me. Talked to Mike earlier. As you see this shot here, first shot, opening shot, you always try to get those jitters out of the way. Great reaction. Talked to him before the telecast, said he prefers to really hook the ball. First shot I just saw, a lot straighter for him.
Hoskins, a 10-pin to start things off. The TV pair 9 and 10. Steve Hoskins' last title, November of 2000, Pasadena, Texas, near Houston. The Lone Star Open. So it has been quite a while for him. And speaking to Steve, he really feels he's bowled well over the past year or so. Maybe even 14 months, but still just hasn't caught the breaks when he's needed them.
Well, he's bowled for the show 8 or 9 times in this new format. First time making it all the way to the telecast, and he told me flat out, hey, I've just been snake bitten. That match against Jim Tomek last night really caught a break. Tomek missed a spare in the 5th game of that match, 7th or 8th frame. Hoskins said he threw 5 of the best shots he's thrown in a long, long time. Struck out to advance to the telecast today.
More than a year since he's been on TV for him. It was Japan of last year, the last time he made a telecast. His round of 16 victim Paul Fleming has been on one of our shows already. On lane 9. 10 down in the pit.
This is why these guys put all the power that they put on these bowling balls to carry off hits. What I mean by that is the ball is just a little bit light, only catches a little bit of the head pin, but because of all that power, all 10 are down.
Early on, a strike will give Mike DeVaney a 10-pin lead. First ever head-to-head matchup between these two.
And Mike DeVaney, as you see that bowling ball there, is a very low-friction bowling ball, meaning it goes really, really straight. Yeah, get some money.
Carries the 10-pin for another strike. A double to start things off for Mike DeVaney. He lost his round of 8 match to Walter Ray Williams Jr., but it was close, just 15 pins combined in the 3 games. So he was right there, enough to earn the wild card bid, and that was tight as well. He was sitting in the stands here, Randy, last night, feeling the pressure of almost not making it.
Yeah, the least amount of losses for Mike. That's why he's here. And he told me that prior to the match with Chris Barnes, he said, listen, I really need you to help me out here. Could you do something? Well, if Jason Couch won 1 game, he was going to be the wild card. Jason beat Chris Barnes.
Living a dream. You can believe that?
Doesn't get no better. Oh, a little confidence coming out of Mike DeVaney, but watch this action and the reaction. His match last night against Walter Ray, when Walter Ray smoked him 3-0, he was real subdued, real laid back. I asked him about that. I said, you know, you're usually a pretty fired up player. He says, well, you got to pick and choose your times to really get pumped up.
Hoskins on lane 10, again in the pocket. And a great start for each. By the numbers this week for Hoskins, another Floridian. 3 Florida residents in our show today. The strike percentage, spare conversion percentage. New numbers we're tracking for you here on ESPN's live coverage of the PBA Tour. And the count early on, solid for each. So much focus required early in the match. Another strike. Each of the bowlers telling us, Randy, today and last night, a good start is crucial when you have match play and one game to prove yourself.
Yeah, it sure is. You know, and Steve Hoskins right now just tied the matchup with that third strike. And he's no stranger to really tough matches. Wichita went 7 games with Chris Barnes. The next week in Kansas City, 7 games against Robert Smith. Last week, a 5-game thriller against Lonnie Wallachek. He knows how to battle. He's been through it.
Just one standing.
4-pin, ball drifts a little bit high. Relatively easy spare. He's going to a very low friction ball. He doesn't want this ball to hook. He's going to move to the right, take this ball, and throw it on a straight line at the 4-pin.
Only one new winner on tour so far this year. Patrick Healy Jr. in Kansas City. Of the 5 events we have complete so far, this number 6, 4 in the USA side, 2 in Japan. So Mike trying to become the second. You know, the numbers so far this week. Good average. And the spare conversion way up there, almost 97%.
And a higher striking percentage than Steve Hoskins has. And I think that's the one thing that you have to look at when it comes down to the 10th frame. You know, both guys are going to hit the pocket. Which guy actually carried better? Which guy actually knocked 10 pins down when his ball hit the pocket versus the guy that left a 4-pin or a 10-pin or any other tap? He's got a real interesting release too, Dave. He's got what I call a little bit of a spin release. He's got a real different grip, that real short ring finger that helps him to spin around it and rotate.
Came in a bit high. And the 4-pin still up for Mike DeVaney.
Watch this hand rotate around the side. That's what helps the ball push to the right, but it also helps it to return. And we talk about it in our lane graphics segment. You know, the ball looks for friction. Well, once the ball finds friction, it's going to travel in direction of rotation.
Third ever TV appearance for him. He's 0-2 so far, making the big show. Would love to change that in a wild card match against 10-time tour winner Steve Hoskins. Last time Steve was on TV in Tokyo, lost to Tommy DeLuce Jr. 224 to 205. Finished 6th in that event. Different format than we have here. A strike here, and he is up 12 pitch. Looking for a 4-bagger. He's got it.
Oh, he just gave you his opinion on that shot. He knows this ball's going to go a little bit light. Okay, well, you know what, Steve? That's okay. You're entitled to a break or two. That was nice. That 10-pin kick late.
Don't forget, next week, the road to the PBA Championship rolls on. The tour moves to suburban Detroit, Taylor, Michigan. PBA Greater Detroit Open. Don't miss your favorite bowlers next Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern start, 10 o'clock on the West Coast. Only on ESPN. For more, log on to ESPN.com. So we go back to our normal 1 o'clock start next week. Make a note of that. You're setting your VCRs or tuning in here on ESPN. Pocket. What a start for Steve Hoskins. 5 of the last 6 frames, strike for him. He has got a nice lead on Mike DeVaney. It's the wild card, each trying to get to the next round and have success at the Miller High Life Open.
The
PBA Tour returns to Chicagoland for the first time in 2 years. Jason Couch won the Tournament of Champions at Lake Zurich, Illinois, about half an hour from here the last time we were in Chicago. Back here for the Miller High Life Open. Welcome, Dave Ryan, Randy Peterson, and our entire crew. Good start from Mike DeVaney. Doesn't appear too nervous, despite the fact this is only his third career TV appearance. And Hoskins with that great start, 5 strikes already in the first half of this match.
Yeah, and I think the real interesting thing to watch is that the way the pins just fly when these guys, these atom bombs are hitting these pins, all that power, all those revolutions. It's really fun to watch these balls and these pins just kind of fly all over the place. Let's take a look at the oil pattern this week, Dave. This is pattern A, and pattern A really lend itself to playing the inside line. Early on in the week, you could actually get the ball all the way back from outside. However, that changed as the week went on. You're going to see Walter Ray playing a little bit more of a straighter down and in type of line. The guys with the big balls are going to be inside throwing that big giant hook.
For more on the oil pattern A, all 5 using the PBA Tour, log on, PBA.com. On the web, a great website. It can also be updated on the round of 16 and round of 8 matches on the webcast and our ESPN telecast. By signing up for that service, you can see the TV show on a delayed broadcast basis, but catch the entire thing again. DeVaney returns to lane 10. Moving high.
Catching a nice break, not leaving a split. 10 pins the last one to fall. This ball almost to the left side of the head pin, the Brooklyn side. See when he puts his hand in that, how much shorter that ring finger is than the middle finger.
Picks up a 3-pin for another mark. No open frames for either bowler here in the first half. DeVaney a max of 257 right now, but down by 23 pins. Hoskins working on a 5-bagger when he returns.
And one of the things I really like about Mike DeVaney is his nicknames. Monkey Boy and Smash Mouth. Now, Tony Reyes, one of our touring players out here, said he looks like the lead singer of Smash Mouth.
I'll go with that.
Okay.
The monkey story is better, though. How about the Monkey Man?
Well, it came about his third regional he bowled. He actually won. There you go. There you go, Mike. He actually won his third regional he ever competed in. And he says, wow, it's sure nice to get the monkey off my back. And one of his partners, Jeff Hickenbottom, said, hey, pal, it's only your third tournament you've ever bowled. So then he started calling him Monkey Boy.
It worked out pretty well for the start of his regional career anyway.
I'm just going with it.
Still in search of his first PBA Tour title. Looking for a 6-bagger. And a 33-pin lead on lane 10. Another 10-pin, the last to go into the pit. These two all competing on the points list, now led by Chris Barnes from just outside Dallas, Texas, who made the final 8. Walter Ray Williams, Hoskins, and Wiseman are there. The top 8 qualify automatically to the World Championship in March, which wraps up the 2002-2003 PBA Tour.
Yeah, and that's a really big deal to get into that top 8. You avoid all of the games, all of the qualifying games, the match play games. You're seeded automatically in that round of 16, and you're guaranteed all that big money. That's our biggest, most lucrative tournament of the year.
On lane 9, a bit high. He'll take it gladly. Another strike for Hoskins.
Take a look here at the 5-step approach of Steve Hoskins, that high backswing. Look at that great leverage and that balance. His hand up the back. Steve Hoskins has got a lot of revolutions, but because he keeps his hand up the back of the ball, he doesn't get big change of direction down the lane. That big back end, that big sweeping hook. Keeps the ball in line, keeps it in play. And great results.
7 straight strikes now for Hoskins. Continues to increase that lead over the wild card performer Mike DeVaney. Needs to rally. 10-pin.
Yeah, it looked like he had a little trouble with footing there on the approach. Approaches were a little slick. You can see he had a little bit of movement as that foot went into the foul line. or towards the foul line, I should say. Getting a nice break, tripling the 2-8 out. But, you know, he doesn't need 9 spare right now. He needs strikes.
Fucking crazy.
Hoskins working on a max of 290. DeVaney just 237 now. Picks up the 10-pin for a mark. And each have been taking their time, as you've noticed. They've each received shot clock violations going past the 25 seconds allowed. And each already have been docked with a $100 fine.
The next one cost them $500.
I'm sure they're well aware. That could hurt the checkbook. Significant. DeVaney on lane 9. Comes in high, almost crossing all the way over, and a 6-10.
And he goes to a higher friction ball, trying to do something a little bit different down the lane, and that ball, as you can see what it did when it went Brooklyn, just grabbed the lane. Too hard, too much hook. Right now, it's all Steve Hoskins.
Tough to beat with the game he has thrown. And you can tell by the smile, he knows it well. 6'10" spare pickup for Mike DeVaney, who started bowling at age 12. His mother, Mona, worked at Eagle Lanes in Southern California near San Diego. That's Hoskins, born in the Boston area, but most of his life in Florida. Now lives near Tampa. His wife and 3 children. That comes in high and a split.
Well, I mean, for all intents and purposes, all Steve Hoskins has to do is stay behind the foul line. He's going to advance. Right now, it's going at a 240 plus pace. Going to get 2 pins.
Takes the 4-7. Just 1 pin for victory and off to the next round.
Best Mike DeVaney can do is 225. Steve Hoskins already has 225. Here's your winner.
Steve Hoskins will advance off to the next round. He'll take on Danny Wiseman, who was a finalist last week in Memphis in a thrilling championship match, losing to the Hall of Famer Brian Voss. We're going to fast track the end of this match, so the bowlers will get things moving along since Hoskins has already clinched the semis. And a head-to-head meeting with Danny Wiseman, the flamboyant bad boy of bowling. We'll see him coming up down the road here today at the Miller High Life Open.
And another great week for Mike DeVaney. So he's learning how to control his emotions out here, Dave. He certainly has all the tools to be a winner out here. Just ran into a buzzsaw.
And remember, just his 3rd ever TV appearance at the Earl Anthony Memorial Classic in Washington. Lost to Parker Bohm III by 19 pins. That was in January of this year. Also, the U.S. Open finished 4th, lost to Walter Ray Williams in December of 2001. So DeVaney, we're sure, will be back. And Hoskins is off to the semifinals. Steve Hoskins has told us throughout this week how confident he's been. He's bowled very well, he thinks, over the last year plus. Just hasn't caught the break when he's needed it. Now he'll have a chance to prove himself here on the telecast. Walter Ray Williams will be coming up next with a chance to win a 35th career title, to break that 2nd place tie with Mark Roth, chasing the great Earl Anthony, who has 41 career titles. But Jason Couch, the only left-hander in our field, stands in Williams' way. So Jason Couch talked to us earlier about being discouraged when you didn't make the cut in the first couple of events of the year. Between then and now, what has changed for you, and as your confidence returned?
Well, after a top 16 last week, I definitely got a little confidence back. Seemed to throw a ball a little better today and all this week, and plan on having a good match.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Randy, possibly a 10th career title, he says, would mean a lot, making him qualified possibly for the Hall of Fame.
Talk about a marquee matchup with Jason Couch and Walter Ray Williams Jr. These guys know how to win. They've been here a lot. The thing to look for today, Jason Couch, our only left-hander. Playing the outside angle. 4-pin goes to the sidewall, takes care of the 7.
Now the legend, already in the Hall of Fame, comes in high. And he's got a 3-pin to deal with after his first ball.
You know, when you watch Walter Ray Williams Jr. throw a shot and he looks down at the lane and says, wow, that's telling me that he's not really sure what the lane conditions are doing. When I said, you know, Jason's our only left-hander in the field, and, you know, I think that it could be either a really big advantage or a disadvantage, Dave Ryan. A big advantage if he's got a really good shot because he's the only player on that side. As you see what Walter did, talked about the DeVaney match.
Come on, get into it.
Games 2 and 3, Randy, of that match with DeVaney were 210, 208, and 213, 212. So that was tight. A lot of drama for Walter Ray on lane 9. Pocket.
He blew in that thumb hole, got a little bit extra feel there. That when guys blow in the thumb hole, they either blow a little moisture in there, or they're just clearing the hole out, get a little bit better feel, a little bit better grip. When you blow in that thumb hole, it gives a little heat, a little easier to hold on to. See if Jason does the same. Nope, just hand goes in. See, here's the thing. If Jason has a really good reaction, he's the only guy on that side of the lane. He's the only guy that has to worry about the lanes changing. And not a real good break there, leaving the 6-8.
Break.
You just heard it. How about a break? Tripping the 9 or the 6-pin out would have left him with 9 sparing. If this guy gets down, then if he gets locked in on his side, there's only one player on that side. The lanes aren't going to break down as much. But on the flip side, if his shot is really, really bad, if his reaction is terrible, there's only one guy that can help change it and help to break the lanes down. That's him. It's not enough help. Right now, trying to get the ball to the right side of the 6-pin. Slide it into the 9.
Top split. Can't pick it up. Couple roll-offs, sudden death roll-offs for Jason Couch, including one in the round of 8 match with Chris Barnes last night. And it was dramatic. He won in a 5th and deciding game to advance off to the television show. Kind of a roller coaster match that was in the round of 8.
Jason told me the key to allowing him to throw it well this week was he had to slide that first step. If he's going straight, he's got to slide that first step and keep his slide foot on the ground.
Yeah! Finds the pocket. Yeah! Go!
When Jason Couch keeps his slide foot on the ground, he's nice and controlled, and he's not leaning on it, meaning he's not trying to rip the holes out of the bowling ball. His rev rate comes down, he can keep the ball in line. When you start seeing that heel come off the ground, that's when he's starting to get all over it, throwing it harder with more revolutions.
Strike here, 22-pin lead for Williams, a little high out of the pocket, but he gets all 10 down to the pit.
It's just a nice finesse of Walter Ray Williams Jr., who's made a living of just making really good shots. One of the higher averages this week at 231 and a very high strike percentage. There's something to be said, you know, today's game has changed a lot. You see all these younger guys throwing the big hook ball, and here's 43-year-old Walter Ray Williams Jr. just stroking away, keeping the ball down and in play, making shots.
Also a touch high out of the pocket, but still 10 down to the pit again for Walter Ray Williams Jr. He's been battling a sore neck all week. He's actually seen a local chiropractor twice, but looks okay today.
And you see that back end, that subtle back end reaction, the 8-pin, the last to go. The ball is perfectly centered right into the 1-3 pocket. Jason Couch has hit the pocket all 3 times. Problem is the 8-1 in the second frame instead of 9 spare. Down by 32.
Moving over to lane 10, again finds that pocket coming from the other side. How long will it take for the lanes to respond to the left-hander here?
Well, Not as long as it normally does, Dave, because when the lanes start to heat up under the lights, all the temperature in this arena setting, when those lanes heat up, you see Jason's average a little bit lower than Walter's and his strike percentage a little bit lower. As the lanes heat up, it causes the oil to evaporate. The hotter the lanes get, the faster that happens. It's a lot faster on TV day than during the week. Just like the oil in your car. That engine starts to heat up, that oil evaporates.
Everyone can relate to that.
You're looking great!
Looking to trip out the 7-pin, didn't get the break he wanted on the late messenger across the pit.
Gets this ball out a little bit further, and watch this thing coming. Wow, head pin comes across, no messenger, goes in front of the 7-pin. Jason's going to a very, very low friction ball, a plastic ball. Look out. All right.
Got his mark on lane 9. Jason telling us he knows how close that was. You saw it right off the release, how crucial it would be against Walter Ray Williams. And he was a little bit miffed about the draw, the way it worked out. They have to match up with a Hall of Famer in the semifinals, hoping maybe that wouldn't be the way it worked out. He knows you got to have a great start against someone like this. I mean, any kind of early falter, and it could be over.
I mean, I've been on tour for 22 years. I've bowled against this guy a couple of times, lost a lot of times. You know, the one thing that came to my mind anytime I bowled Walter Ray was never give him an opening, never give him a chance to get on you. Well, Jason did that in the second frame, and Walter's taking advantage of it.
Has a 4-bagger, trying for 5 in a row, and a 43-pin lead.
Oh.
5-7.
That ball gets into a little bit of that light, that squish area, and both the 5 and 7 stand up. And take a look at the pin action. The 5-pin got hit, was going one way and got hit by another pin and stood up. And that ball was DOA. It was dead on arrival.
Split conversion rate so far. He'd like to increase it now.
Last night made a split to beat Mike DeVaney in the second game.
Needs another here. Trying to kick it over to the 7-pin. An open frame. Perhaps the opening Jason Couch needs to get right back in this semifinal match. The legend Walter Ray Williams trying for a 35th title. Couch wants to break into double digits. Exciting semifinal action continues from Chicago next. Maximum score of 256, now a 19-pin lead for Walter Ray Williams over Jason Couch in this first of 2 semifinals from the PBA Miller High Life Open. A total of 62 titles and 8 majors between this great field of bowlers. Now let's look at this week's Dexter approach.
We're going to talk a little bit today about the difference between a finesse player and a power player. Here's our finesse player, the stroke of Walter Ray Williams Jr., and our power player, Mike DeVaney. The difference is all in the timing. When the ball and foot arrive at the foul line. Notice right here how close the ball and the foot are arriving at the same time. That's finesse. Now here's power. Watch the difference here. Look where this ball is versus where that foot is. The later the timing, the more power. The approaches this week were a little slick. This is a big waffle to get those players to slow down. This is Mike DeVaney's shoe. The power player needs more power, more leverage. He has to have more grip. He turned that heel completely around, Dave Ryan.
This week's Dexter approach. And you notice footwork being an issue in a lot of the match play matches that we've had so far here at Vernon Hills. Saw several players slipping around a bit in play.
Yeah, and in any sport, you know, watch Jason Couch. This guy has to keep his feet on the ground, keep his feet underneath him. He's got to make sure that he has a consistent slide going to the foul line.
It's Couch on lane 10. Dave Ryan, Randy Peterson, our entire ESPN PBA crew. Live action continuing here, the PBA Tour. The Miller High Life Open, just outside Chicago. With that strike in the 6th. Couch inching his way back into the match against Walter Ray Williams Jr., who had the open frame on his 6th.
Just like Jason opening in the 2nd frame and giving it to Walter Ray. Walter Ray gives it right back to Jason in the 6th frame. See if Jason can take advantage with a strike in the 7th frame. He can cut the lead to 9.
On lane 9.
That ball's getting hot, baby.
Yeah, and so are you, Jason. So are you, my friend.
#134th all-time TV appearance. Far and away #1 in PBA Tour history. See the match play results, penalty restrained. And you also see another Walter Ray Williams strike on lane 10. This from the round of 16 on, these scores.
You know, the only thing that his resume is missing is all-time career titles at 41, which belongs to the late, great Earl Anthony. But as long as I've been on tour, this guy is by far the best I have ever seen. 8th frame, left lane.
Pocket Messenger for the 10-pin. Down she goes.
You just don't need power to get these pins to move. You got to have good roll. Here's the finesse shot. Watch Walter Ray's Messenger. Head pin's going to go to the left side. Here it comes. And that's with a 15-pound bowling ball.
Gives him a double. Max score of 256. Couch again trying to cut it to 9. Just missed the pocket.
D-cell.
Well, you heard him say D-cell. That ball overhooked. So one of two things. Either ball speed came down or he overhit it. Let's see if that right foot stays on the ground. Well, that left heel, or that right heel came up just a little bit. He told me, got to keep my foot on the ground. When my foot comes up, I overhit it.
Only a 5-pin count on his 8th frame. Split conversion numbers, trying to increase that. But leaves the 6-10. A second open for Jason Couch. And he would like a re-rack.
Needs a breather after that shot there. You know, the best he can do now if he strikes out is 208. Walter Ray is going at a 226 pace. Jason Couch needs a small miracle here to pull this game out.
(10-3) this week, over a 226 average in match play. There they all are down in the pit for him on lane 9. He told us before this match he was discouraged, no question about it, after not even making the cut 2 weeks in a row in Wichita and in KC at the Greater Kansas City Classic. Was so down on himself, was speaking to other PBA Tour members like Mike Miller about advice, trying to get the positives back. Oh, another strike for Walter Ray Williams en route to the championship. His wife certainly enjoying this very much.
Walter's got that great pit action going. You know, we talked about it before. He doesn't have all the power, all the revolutions, but you know what he does have? He has great ball roll and great accuracy.
Eight pins. Here we'll clinch it on lane 9. We'll take 10. Didn't seem, Randy, like he was hitting the pocket exactly where he wanted it throughout this entire match. Was he getting breaks?
Well, I think he got some nice breaks with the bird dogs coming across, but, you know, he did throw some pretty high flush shots that were perfect, like that last shot we just saw.
Any way he can get it, though, when you've won as much as he has and the experience he has accumulated.
You're talking about that hit right there. That's okay. You know, you take him any way you can get him out on this tour. And one of the reasons why you throw a hook ball is so that you don't have to, the ball doesn't have to enter the 1-3 pocket perfectly.
What happened in the 6th frame?
The other thing that Walter has on his side right now is angle. And what I mean by that, he's a little bit right of the head pin, so he can play more of a down and in type of shot. His ball doesn't lose energy going down the lane.
Looking to strike out to finish. He'll do just that. Asking himself why the open in the 6th. Doesn't matter. He is the winner in the semifinals on his second TV show of this tour season, showing us exactly why he has won at least one event 9 years running. Won 2 last year.
Had to give the Miller ball more time. Give me a break.
Got to throw at one of those pins really, really hard. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was the 7-10.
Yeah, it was a 4-10 split there for Couch. And a nice round of applause for Jason, who's bowled very well, perhaps back into the bowling picture. He's been taking quite a bit of criticism from the media for not making the cut 2 weeks earlier. A good performance here gets him to the semis, but he runs into great bowling for the legend, Walter Ray Williams Jr., who's off to the finals next. The last time Walter Ray Williams did not win a title, 92. He's won them in 12 of the last 16 years on tour. Let's go now to the Miller High Life, get to know them.
I grew up in Eureka, California, which is a small town north of San Francisco. My first love was playing horseshoes, and I did that first, and I got introduced to bowling because of horseshoes. I'm a pretty decent golfer. I'm about a 3 handicap. I like Szechuan-style Chinese food. I like Mexican food. I like Italian food. I like a good steak. That first win was really special. I won that in 1986 at Peoria. The TV finals, 2 of the guys really struggled, and even though the scores weren't really high, I was able to get by all 4 games. I met my wife, Paige, at a horseshoe tournament. We kind of said hi, and a few months later met at another horseshoe tournament and went out on a date. She went on a date with me and my 3 brothers and my mom. She thought that was pretty exciting. There's a lot more to bowling than people realize. I mean, most people think, oh, bowling, I can do that. Well, they bowl 3 games a week. Bowl 40 games in 3 days, see how you feel. I still love to bowl, and I love to compete. I've always been a very competitive person. I think I will continue to bowl competitively until I can't really do it anymore.
The Miller High Life get to know them. Walter Ray would love to once again be named Bowler of the Year. Last time he did that was in '98. Danny Wiseman looks to break into double digits in career tour titles. He came oh so close last week in Memphis. Lost a great match to Brian Voss. His opponent here in the semifinals, Steve Hoskins, who has already advanced with a win over DeVaney in the wild card match. The Chicagoland area has hosted PBA events continuously dating back to 1962. In '76, it was Gary Dickinson who would rout a rhinestone-clad Ernie Schlegel in Glendale Heights, Illinois. Both eventually would go on to be PBA Hall of Famers. In 1986, George Brown III takes his first career title at the World Open, and in doing so, becomes the first and only black bowler to date to win a PBA title. He now has 5 championships to his credit. In the 1988 World Open, which featured international qualifiers as well as PBA members, really living up to its name as Mats Carlsen from Sweden wins the title, his 3rd championship at the time. Then in 1994, in a match that comes down to the 10th frame, Eric Forkel watched as David Ozio missed a chance to win the title. Eric Forkel took the win in what turns out to be the last World Open. Pretty emotional moment for Forkel. Back here at the Miller High Life Open, Forkel not into this final grouping. So far, we've seen Hoskins take DeVaney in the wild card match. Steve will take on Danny Wiseman next in one semifinal. Walter Ray Williams, the great champion, is through to the final match. Danny Wiseman now joined by our Randy Peterson.
Danny, was a thriller last week, runner-up finish to the great Brian Voss. How's that affected you coming into this week?
Well, Rano, I didn't win. And, I lost to one of the greatest shot makers ever in this game, and no disappointments here. It kept me focused going into this week. I didn't win, so here I am. I just tried to, once I got in my car and I left, I said, I did what I did, and he beat me, flat out beat me. So, done, game over, on to the next week. Here we are. It's time to play.
Thanks, Danny. Back to you, Rano.
Randy, he's always ready to go. Very emotional, outspoken bowler. One of the most interesting characters on the PBA Tour. Hoskins, equally outspoken, but much more direct way. He gets right to the point. Very succinct person with his Skills in mind. 9-pin up for Hoskins on lane 9.
That went very good.
Hoskins, very heavily involved in the Republican Party in the state of Florida. You see, 14th year on tour. Hasn't won for almost 2 years, though. Almost exactly to the day. Picks up his spare. He tells us he's going to get himself back home to the Tampa area in time to vote for Jeb Bush.
Yeah, he said his wife the other night was hanging out with the governor of the state of Florida. Oh, I'm sorry. No, his wife met the president.
That's right.
His daughter's cast, Lindsay's cast, was signed by Governor Jeb Bush.
Impressive either way. Here's Wiseman. You see the vitals with him from Baltimore, Maryland.
That's the same shot on the right side of the lane that we saw Jason Couch leave in our last match. This ball is just going to drift a little bit high. Danny's playing a little bit deeper line than Steve Hoskins. That ball just a pinch high, 4-9.
October of last year, North Brunswick, New Jersey, at the Johnny Petraglia Open. The last time Wiseman took home the winner's check. Looking for the tough mark, can't get it, and an open frame for him. So upset at not making the cut in Kansas City. Dragged his gear through the parking lot, almost knocking you over in the process. And shouted, "Never again." A little high there. It'll never happen again. And sure enough, makes the TV show in the finals in Memphis. Back to the show here today.
Yeah, you know, Danny's such a great competitor. He was obviously very unpleased. As you see his matches this week, a great match with Robbie Spigner, we'll talk about a little bit later. Wasn't pleased with his performance. KC said, wouldn't happen again. I was standing right next to him when he said it. Back-to-back shows.
As he dropped his bowling ball bag on your foot, I believe.
Well, no, if that would have happened, my lawyer and Danny, a meeting and all this that he's doing now.
Danny was very upset at not performing well in Kansas City.
I mean, that's, you know, but that's being a competitor. That's what being a competitor is all about.
Hoskins.
And, you know, Steve Hoskins actually throws or has more revolutions and more power than Danny Wiseman. And they're both playing around the same line. The problem is, the difference is Steve's hands up the back, not going quite as far to the right with it, with the ball. Danny Wiseman a little bit more in to out.
Looking for a double here and a 21-pin lead. Third frame. Got it. Very consistent in his wild card match win over DeVaney, continuing here in the semis.
And here's a great tip for those folks at home. Slow start for Steve Hoskins, the last 3 steps, real fast. You build up momentum. You go from slow to fast and not vice versa.
Pocket for Wiseman on lane 10.
Now, you're not going to see a whole lot of reaction out of Danny early until he starts getting the ball to face the 1-3 pocket consistently. Starts to get 3 or 4 in a row. Very high average this week. You know, the players that are here right around the 228 to 235 pace in there. Anything less, you just didn't make it to the telecast. And obviously a very high strike percentage. You don't get here by not throwing a lot of strikes.
He came so close last week. Avoids the double wood. Just has 1 pin to contend with for a mark here.
You know, I watched this all night last night with Danny Wiseman. In his last match, he'd go high on one lane. The next time he got over that lane, he'd make an adjustment, and the ball would do that. The adjustment, in my opinion, get a little softer and go around a little bit more.
2-pin has his mark. He claims as soon as the match was over with Brian Voss, the second he hugged Voss and told him what a great job he did, he started to forget about that devastating loss and was able to move forward. Plus the 530 miles he mentioned with you on the road, the drive from Memphis to here in the Chicagoland area. Cranking up that heavy metal rock he loves to listen to.
Man, you could
feed slow, dummy.
You know, it was nice that we showed you that profile of Steve and telling you how slow his feet were, except he forgot to do it that time. You know, you heard him say it, he's got to keep his feet slow.
That number the lowest strike percentage of any of the 5 finalists left. Picks up his mark with ease. 19-pin lead for Steve Hoskins. Lambeau Field, join Al Michael, John Madden. Melissa Stark for the game tomorrow night.
And watch the return of Chris Carter, who's actually going to start in that game for the Dolphins tomorrow.
Amazing. Against his ex-NFC Central rival, the Pack.
Lambeau Field.
He's perfect so far, single pin conversions. Treasurer for the Young Republicans of Pasco County, Florida, Steve Hoskins. Very close race there with Jeb Bush. His opponent, Bill McBride.
Steve said he loves to play any kind of sports with his kids, and every Sunday, as of late, they get out in the backyard and they play football. I'm like, well, Steve, aren't they a little small for you to be tackling? He goes, no way, Randy, and they're slow, and I can get them every time.
Full contact.
Just kidding.
Got to make the kids tough somehow. There's Wiseman. Pocket, 10-pin.
Not like that. Come on. Beat it.
Coming right at you, Danny Wiseman. That great left tap on the 10-pin. I think the really neat thing to watch about Danny is how he posts shots. What I mean by that is when the ball leaves his hand, he can basically just sit there and pose and freeze his body and not move. I mean, that's what it takes to make shots. That's what it takes at this skill level.
Strikes down by 8, and he is.
You know the
Double for Wiseman.
Excuse me, Ronald.
Semi-final match to take on the great Walter Ray Williams in the finals. Danny Wiseman is focused. Steve Hoskins hasn't won for 2 years. He wants the winner's check badly as well. Four different combinations of bowlers here in our final day. It never met in match play head-to-head, including DeVaney Hoskins, DeVaney Couch, Hoskins, Walter Ray. Perhaps they will be meeting in the finals. We'll find out soon. Days in on the road for you. Taylor Lanes in Michigan. Outside Detroit, that's where we're headed next week. 1 o'clock Eastern time. We're back to our standard 1 o'clock start time there. And just prior to Thanksgiving, Grand Rapids, Michigan, and the TOC. On the road continues with the regionals as well. November 8th through 10th in Louisville and the Northwest region in Oregon. Regional winners in the Central, Bill Gates this past week, John Ireland in the East, Mickey Hingham, Midwest, Pete Dohan, Wes Mallett, and Jeff Murdershaw, all regional winners recently. Congratulations to them. Hoskins again. 4-pin.
I think Rudy was shedding.
Rudy was shedding. I'm not sure who he means by Rudy, but a little debris on the approach. He picked up, no big deal. Still maintains 7-pin lead with a spare here.
It has been a while since he's won a championship. But his message to us, and speaking with Steve Randy, he's bowled so well. A little bit shocked he hasn't gotten back to a TV show in about a year's time and hasn't been in the winner's circle in so long.
Yeah, and you know, the one thing that you don't see Steve Hoskins do a whole lot of is bowl bad. I mean, I can't remember the last time I physically saw him bowl bad. He doesn't physically usually throw it bad. It's basically ball reaction and carry.
7-pin.
Just said it.
Sure
Wiggle but wouldn't fall.
This ball is not bad. I mean, that's just a bad break. You know, he's not looking at that shot going, oh my, I hope I carry. He's looking at that shot expecting all 10 to be in the pit.
Goes on the other side of the 7-pin, perhaps. He didn't want it. He and Wiseman exchanged some sarcastic looks.
Did you see how nimble he was? Now I know why he's playing football with the kids on Sunday.
Quick feet. It's all about quickness. One
of the few guys that Rhino doesn't change to a plastic ball to shoot spares because he can throw a strike ball so straight and hard.
Strike for a 4-pin lead. Got it.
Another Dick Weber shot.
Danny looks up at me and says, that's the Dick Weber shot. Referring to the great Dick Weber, used to carry that 5'7" Wally. Dick and Juanita back in St. Louis. I hope you're doing well. I know you're watching. You know, and you kind of got the sense that when Danny doubled in the 5th and 6th that he wasn't going to slow down. That strike gave him a 4-pin lead. A strike in the 8th frame can increase his lead to 14.
Looking for a 4-bagger on lane 9. Indeed.
Remember what I said about Steve Hoskins being snake bit? Well, he just got it right there. Danny tripping out the 2-8. What a huge break. Couldn't have happened at a better time.
We're coming here from the PBA Miller High Life Open.
Jeez,
Hawthorne Lanes outside Chicago. About half an hour drive to Sears Tower, Wrigley Field. There's Ryan Randy Peterson, the entire crew. That's high. 7-pin count.
Boy, you gotta wonder what happened to Danny in that solid 7 on the left lane for Steve, if that factored into the mental equation at all. Danny's not watching. He's just trying to stay in that mindset, stay focused to what he's doing.
Max of 222 now for Hoskins. Picks up the mark.
Come on. Make him throw a shot.
And the best way to do that, Mr. Hoskins, is striking here in the 9th to set up your 10th frame. Right now, Danny Wiseman going at a 2:19 pace. Steve Hoskins can strike out 9th and 10th for 2:22.
Wife Lisa, daughter Lindsay, 10 years old. Ryan is 6, Matthew is 1. His sons watching closely. Usually has to call them the morning he's on, just to remind them. I'm on TV today, just so you know.
It's just a beautiful family he has. He's really blessed.
A little high there.
And
He's fighting it.
that time it looked like he had trouble with the approach. He's going to just catch a big piece of that head pin right there, and that's what happens. Unfortunately, with the power, the only thing to do here is throw it really straight and hard. Hope something bounces out.
4-7 in the 6. Takes 2 of the 3. The 6-pin up, an open frame there for Hoskins in the 9th. Deadly. Barb and Bill Spigner, Hawthorne Lanes proprietors. Bill on the PBA Tour, a 3-time winner himself. And talk about a talented son we'll tell you about as well. Wiseman leaves the 10-pin.
That's pretty good. I throw it good and get hosed. Wow.
Well, yeah, that's true, Danny.
Okay, I threw a good shot.
You did make a good
Bonus.
shot, but you know, that's part of bowling. You know, the more you hit the pocket, the more you run the risk of leaving corner pins. And people ask me all the time, how do I carry the corner pin? Well, if I knew that, I'd be a millionaire, and I'm not. So it's just part of the game.
Gets his mark. That is Robbie Spigner, who still has 2 years of eligibility at Indiana. He is a Hoosier, and as an amateur, got all the way to the round of 8 in a great matchup last night. Went the distance. Very exciting with Wiseman.
Yeah, and it sure doesn't hurt any that your dad owns a beautiful center, and he was raised around bowling his whole life, and his dad happens to be one of the best coaches in the United States.
Double wood, 2-8.
That's ball change right there.
Well, ball change. Going to a lower friction ball. The ball doesn't hook up. But Danny's going to be your winner. He's going to advance for the 2nd week in a row.
They're going to continue to bowl quickly. The match has been clinched by Wiseman, so for a 2nd straight week, he will be in the championship match. It was a legend he faced last week in Brian Voss, the Hall of Famer. He lost in a very dramatic, emotional final. He takes on another Hall of Famer now in Walter Ray Williams.
With a strike here, Dave, Danny's going to shoot 216. Walter, remember, shot 256 or 7, his first 256. It's going to take a lot more than 216 to beat Walter Ray Williams Jr. So young Mr. Wiseman better figure out what he needs to do to throw a lot more strikes.
Very good week, though, for Steve Hoskins, who finally breaks through to the TV show. Perhaps can ride the momentum after he gets home to vote in the gubernatorial race in Florida. Up in the Detroit area next week. 7-pin.
You know, in that 10th frame, it looked like Danny threw 3 different bowling balls to try to get a little bit better look. He knows it's going to take more than 2:15 to beat Walter Ray. Don't worry, Steve. There'll be another day for you. As good a player as he is, he'll be back.
We are now set for a championship match from outside Chicago. Two of the best in the game still alive, Wiseman and Walter Ray Williams Jr. We are set for the championship round. But first, let's tell you about next week. The road to the PBA Championship rolls on as the tour moves to Greater Detroit. The PBA Greater Detroit Open. Don't miss your favorite bowlers next Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern Time, 10 on the West Coast. Back to our standard 1 o'clock start time here on ESPN. Welcome back to just outside Chicago. Dave Ryan, Randy Peterson. Hard to believe, Randy, 2 weeks ago, Danny Wiseman didn't even qualify, didn't make the cut at Kansas City. Had a tirade in the parking lot with you as a witness, and now 2 weeks in a row, he's in the TV final. Does he have enough to get by the legend Walter Ray Williams today?
Well, I was watching Walter practice here, getting ready for the next match, and you know, we talked about earlier, Danny only shot 215. From what I just saw Walter doing in practice, I don't think so. I think Walter's got the inside track. He's going to be playing the down and in line. I just think he's going to have a better ball reaction.
We'll see how it shakes out. Championship recap then to this point.
Our wild card winner, Steve Hoskins. Finally making it to TV and getting by Mike DeVaney. And in semifinal number 1, there he is. This guy never gets old, and neither does winning. And in semifinal number 2, Danny Wiseman, that light mixer. Look at that pose. Boy, can he make good shots. He's going to have to make a lot of them.
Walter Ray Williams looking to become the second all-time and a 3-2 record when it counts against Wiseman. Danny from Baltimore looks to get back in the winner's circle. The final comes your way next. Last week at the PBA Memphis Open, it was Danny Wiseman taking on his longtime nemesis, Hall of Famer Brian Voss, in the championship match, and what a match it turned out to be. In dramatic fashion, Voss, needing 2 strikes in the final 2 frames to take the title, nailed it down to claim his emotional 22nd career victory. It could not have been more exciting in Memphis last week.
You got me 11 years ago, you got me again. You know that? I can't believe it.
We're the 2 finalists, Walter Ray Williams, ready to go along with Danny Wiseman. 2 straight weeks in the championship match. Last week, Brian Voss, a Hall of Famer, another Hall of Famer in Walter Ray Williams. How do you deal with the pressure today?
Man, I'll tell you, I guess, I don't know, man. This is like incredible. I mean, Brian, now Walter, geez. You know, I'm just going to ball my game one at a time, see what happens. You know, I'm here to win, and I didn't last week, and I put myself in that position again, and I'm going to go for it and try to do it this week.
Best of luck to him.
If I'm finishing this week.
He's changed things a bit from last week. Now, Walter Ray Williams Jr., you told me yesterday about trying to get back to Player of the Year status. It hasn't happened for you in 4 years. What would this mean to get a victory today to get back to that level? Is it a big step for you?
Well, it's definitely a starting step. I've been bowling very well this year, but the season's very early. I think you need to win 2, 3 tournaments during the year, and you got to win 1 before you win 2. So this would be a good start.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
This Hall of Fame ready to go, Randy.
Couldn't ask for a better matchup. Last week, Brian Voss and Danny Wiseman. This week, he's going to try it again with another Hall of Famer. Poor Danny. It's a lot to handle mentally. If anybody can do it, he can. Another ball change. It looks to me, Dave, like this ball change that Danny just made, ball that hooks a little bit less, so he can get a little bit closer to the same line Walter Ray's going to be playing. And you tried moving in, trying to chase the oil line left. Well, when you don't find one, there's only one other way you can go, and that's to the right.
On lane 10. 9-pin. Stare at that 9-pin down.
Same guy left a 5-7 last time. Okay.
You know, a weak ball leaves the 5-7, the strong ball leaves a solid 9, and Walter was saying, oh, same guy.
single pin conversion rate. Keeping it a perfect 100%. Been a rough week for him. Talk about the neck injury. There you see his resume. Looking to become the second all-time titleist in history behind Earl Anthony's 41. Hall of Fame in 95. He said last week in Memphis, another 9-pin. The neck started bothering him, and he actually had to see a local chiropractor twice to try to get himself to feel better.
Walter's got both hands in the air looking at me going, what's going on here? Too much ball, Walter. Try moving the feet a half left. Throwing it a pinch harder.
It's a bit of a spinal alignment issue, which doesn't sound good.
Yeah, you know, the funny part when you talk to Walter right nowadays, Dave, is that you always got to ask him how he's feeling. It seems like something's always bothering him. Knee, neck, back. He told me he was okay. He was okay. Not perfect, but okay.
He's been icing it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Had a rough week with his truck as well, we'll tell you about. Wasn't easy for him, but here he is in the final match. Wiseman looking like a good start. A double.
Two different balls, playing a deeper inside line on the right lane. See what he's done at the start of the year.
The MC, the miscut at KC, we talked so much about that. A real turning point for him. All of a sudden, he has really turned it around.
Yeah, I'll tell you the other thing that really ticked him off was that he didn't qualify for the Japan Cup for the first time in a long time.
Come on, come on. Yeah!
Well,
Come on now.
Danny's made the adjustment, Dave Ryan. He's changed balls on the left lane. That was a lane that he struggled with a little bit. He went to a different ball in that lane, and obviously his ball reaction's a lot different, and you can see it in his mannerisms, the way he's running that shot out. Thinks he's found something. Looks real good early on.
A triple to start. The legend down 21. There's a pocket.
That's better.
Carl Cahill is the associate brand manager of High Life. Title sponsor of our event here in Vernon Hills, Illinois, outside Chicago.
Getting a good feel, blowing in that thumb hole.
Strike, here you down 11 pins. Oh, 7 pin.
And all of a sudden, the guy who, in my opinion, strikes the most, you saw his strike percentage earlier, his carry percentage is very, very good. Now all of a sudden he's flushed 4 balls in a row. He's got 1 strike to show for it, almost leaving pocket 7-10.
You saw the shot clock behind Wiseman there. 25 seconds to get off that shot. Walter Ray hangs on. Was faced with a $1,600 bill for his RV. Had some issues with the engine, but right now, very few issues on the lanes. He's been outstanding into the finals, but Wiseman has had a great start with a triple. He's got a significant lead in the championship match. Danny Wiseman to start off this championship match in a 21-pin lead. 3 strikes. To begin the match, 1 more, and he's got a 31-pin lead on the Hall of Famer.
Wow. A little redemption maybe from last week, taking it out on Walter Ray. But you know what? That's what makes Danny Wiseman so good. He's made the adjustment. You know, everything that he does is very well thought out. What can I do on the left lane? I'm hitting the right lane pretty good. What can I do on the left lane to get my ball into the pocket? Let's see. This ball, this line, that speed, this hand rotation. He's figured it out early on.
For a 5-bagger and a 41-pin lead.
Now, yeah,
You better believe it.
Yeah. Come on now.
And one of the things that I really like about Danny Wiseman is he's not afraid to show emotion.
Tells us he's always known how to win. From the time he was a little kid playing baseball in the Baltimore area. In the pocket for Walter Ray Williams Jr. on lane 10, trying to get back in the match. He's got a big hill to climb now, the way Wiseman started with his 5-bagger.
You know, with a little carry, this match would be tied. Solid 9 strike, almost a 7-10, leaving the 7.
Put him in the pocket.
Strike.
Looking to stretch that great record of consecutive years with a tour title.
In a game and a half, Walter Ray has not missed the 1-3-5.
Down by 31 with a strike. Got it.
Boy, there sure is no quitting that, and you don't become a Hall of Famer with 34 titles, giving up after 5 frames. What a great shot executed by Walter Ray. See if Danny can keep the string alive. Halfway to perfection. Exhaling before he throws, before he starts, gets him relaxed.
Perfect. There's a lot on the line here at Vernon Hills, Illinois. $40,000 goes to the winner. Perhaps more importantly, well, it depends on, I guess, who you're talking to about money, but a lot of tour points on the line also, and that can put them in great position to make the season-ending World Championship in March, make that field to avoid qualifying, get right into match play.
Watch Danny Wiseman get set, and the last thing he does before he starts is exhale. It's a great tip for those at home that need to throw one for pressure for the wheat. It's a great way to get your body and mind relaxed.
Keeps it going.
What a great adjustment he's made on that lane. The switch zone, the light hit. You know, and you don't get great breaks. You don't get pins falling like that when you're yipping it at the bottom of the swing. You get that when you're really curing it.
Down 41 with a strike. Back counters Walter Ray Williams Jr. We have had 6 300 games in Chicago so far, if that's what you're thinking for Wiseman. 4 in the first round. Hoskins in round 2. Chris Barnes in the round of 16. 7 straight for Wiseman to start off this championship match.
You know, we've only had 2 300s ever in the title match. The last 300 we had on TV was Mike Miller.
Last in the title match, Mike Albee, 93 in Wichita.
Prior to that, it was way back in 87 or 88, Bob Benoit in Grand Prairie, Texas, against the great Mark Roth. Not to be mistaken for our producer, Mike Roth.
4-bagger for Walter Ray Williams Jr. We told you about the World Championship points, the march to the PBA World Championship in March. Number 2 right now, 25,000 points on the line to the winner. 20 for the runner-up. Those points are critical. And Wiseman continues his incredible run in this championship match. An 8-bagger and a 41-pin lead on the legend.
And it just shows you how much I know. Danny Wiseman, being as great as he is, again, makes the right decision. He's got the front 8. Knew he had to do something better than what he did the match before to beat that gentleman right there. 8-bagger, 4 more strikes for perfection. 9th frame. 8 in a row.
Another.
I think the thing you got to watch for is that he gets to finish on his good lane, the right lane.
Remember what he said in the interview with me at the start of the match. That's what he wanted. Walter Ray is pretty hot himself. 5-bagger. Another on the 9th for him. Max of 259. But it's all with Wiseman now after 9 in a row. And Walter Ray just can't believe it.
Well, you know, and Walter bowled a great game. 2 solid 9s. You know, let's give him the 2 strikes in the 1st and 2nd frame. He's going at a 279 pace. If Wiseman doesn't get the 1st strike in the 10th, we could have a tie. Walter could win.
Solid 10-pin.
Yeah, and that's really, you know, the big difference is that Walter threw him there, threw him where he needed to, but didn't strike. The match is over. Danny Wiseman's going to win, but we still have 300 on the line, $10,000 bonus. $40,000 first place check for Danny Wiseman. And what a way to redeem yourself after last week. And, you know, last week, like Danny said, and you know, we witnessed it, wasn't that he bowled bad and lost. He just got beat by a guy that bowled better.
But he has defeated this Hall of Famer. Standing 5-pin for Walter Ray. But still an appreciative round of applause here at the Miller High Life Open. On the verge of perfection.
Come on, Danny.
Extra 10,000 on the line. He's already won the match. Oh! The 2-8 breaks the streak.
Thank you.
Well, he had a lot of chances to shoot 300 this week, and he never did. I think he had about 4 chances to shoot 300. No shot bigger than this one right here. The ball gets in, looks like it's a little bit left to target, and just feeds right and never grabbed the lane. Great finish for Danny Wiseman. And a nice comeback, especially after what happened to him last week.
Got you, Barry Asher. Tied you, buddy.
10 titles, one of the requirements of the new Hall of Fame. 10 titles, 5 years retired from the tour. This guy is certainly going to be, without a doubt, in the PBA Hall of Fame.
Yeah, baby! Boom! 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 Yeah! Thank you! Thank you! Yeah! Yeah!
He dedicates all of his success
Yeah, brother!
to his mom, Dorothy Potter.
Got it! Got it! Miller time!
This one's for you, Mom. The Miller High Life Open champion, Danny Wiseman of Baltimore, Maryland. Nearly a 300 game and a $10,000 bonus in the championship match. Still, Danny Wiseman of Baltimore, your 10th career title. I asked you before your matchup with Walter Ray Williams, another Hall of Famer. You dealt with the pressure well. What was the key to the match today?
One shot at a time. Just put myself in that little world and, you know, just try to make the best shot that I could, and they all fall, you know, they all fall down. So, you know, this is incredible. After last week, coming back this week, I just really want to thank Bill Spagner and the entire crew here in this bowling center. It's unbelievable. They did a heck of a job. All our new sponsors that have come on board. You know, this PBA thing now is just rocking, let me tell you. And of course, you know what? It's Miller time now.
I thought you might say that. This guy's rocking too, hoping for a third TV show next week when we come to you from outside Detroit, Michigan. Congratulations again to Danny Wiseman. His victory today guarantees him a spot in the PBA Tournament of Champions December 15th and moves him into contention for the top 8 seeds of the World Championship in March. Be sure to join us next Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern Time from Detroit. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on ESPN.com. For the entire crew, my partner Randy Peterson, it's Dave Ryan saying so long from suburban Chicago.